Episode 3! What's up, everybody? How's it going? What?
Did we really start already? I thought I was starting it.
Okay, ready?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. Thanks for joining us. This is Ship to Shore Podcast, Episode 3.
Episode 3!
What's up? I'm Corey.
Wow.
This is Hannah. Welcome back. If this is your first time listening, awesome. If you've been listening the past couple episodes we put out, thank you. We really appreciate that.
Oh my gosh, this has been the funnest, craziest week.
It's really
Um,
exciting.
the, when we were uploading the episodes and everything, we live out in the middle of nowhere, so
It took a while.
it takes a long time, but we got it, and it was good. We've gotten a lot of great feedback. Thank you so much
Yeah.
for the people that are commenting and sending us messages and rating the podcast. These are all things that help us tremendously, and we're
Definitely.
so appreciative of the support that we've
Yeah, it
received.
makes us want to do a lot more.
Yeah,
Keep going.
yeah, we've got so many ideas, so
Yeah.
many things.
We definitely thought we'd be able to tell our whole story in 2 episodes, but it's come to be that it's probably going to take a lot longer than that because we tend to rant, we tend to ramble.
You should go grab
Oh, the
that.
sombrero.
Go grab it.
BRB.
Okay. So while he is getting the sombrero, um, I wanted to mention that we are going to have a pretty sweet yard sale April the 15th. It's in a couple of Saturdays coming up, and we would love to see you guys. We're going to make it a lot of fun, and we have so much stuff to get rid of. So if you guys would like to swing by and get some clothes on the cheap for kids and adults, or some furniture, we have so many things. So just message us if you're looking for something. Yeah.
Oh,
Wow.
it's so tiny.
If you remember,
Yeah,
it was a
this is old.
sombrero I brought Corey that we talked about on the last episode from Mexico when I went there. And this
My
is
head
it.
wasn't this small then. I don't
Was
think
it,
it's made for people
your head wasn't this big then?
small enough to fit in it ever. Okay.
Yeah, I
Oh, this is
think I
not going to
got a
last all
youth-size
episode.
sombrero on accident.
It's okay. It's the thought that counts.
Extra feet.
It's just a sign of heartbreak that I've held on to for 15 years.
It looked great on
Oh,
you. I
okay.
think it's amazing.
This is
And I don't know
proof.
why I wanted to bring you back a sombrero from Mexico, but I just
It's
felt
okay.
like
I
it was something I could see you wearing. Didn't you use it for a Halloween costume when you were?
yeah, I did.
Okay.
I don't know why.
Because you're
I think
you.
it sat more like this. Yeah, I could handle that for the rest of the episode, probably.
That looks like a
You think so?
cowboy. Yeah. Or you can take it off, whatever. I
I
just
don't
wanted
think
people to
that's the
see it
thumbnail.
because how long has it been? That's
About
been
2008.
2008, so 18, 90, 20, 20,
Too much
15
math.
years?
It's
15 years
incalculable.
ago I bought
Yeah.
that. That's crazy. Um,
Did you talk about the yard sale?
yeah, so I mentioned the yard sale April 15th. Please come
Come
out,
buy all of our stuff.
buy all of our stuff, and then whatever we don't use, we're going to dump right
Yeah.
outside the Goodwill donation box
It's
at
not just our
Foodland.
stuff. I think your parents are putting some stuff in too. Your mom's got a lot of stuff she's gonna try to get rid of.
That's
And
true.
if you know Molly, you probably know she's got a lot of stuff to get rid of.
Yeah, she may join me. We'll see. But I was just kidding about the Foster's Foodland dump.
Oh,
Did you catch what I said?
no,
I
I
said
didn't.
after it's over, we're gonna dump everything that's left
Oh
over
God,
outside the boxes.
they cleaned it up. We saw, but it lasted like 12 hours. Like 12 hours later, it was just back to the way it was. But
Yeah,
that's okay. It's
and
not my chair, not my problem.
I know, and it does look bad when people put crazy crap out there, but it just cracks me up that people are
Hmm.
so on about it. We took a clip actually of what it looks like currently. We'll post that
Yeah,
on social
we should
media
put
so
that
you
up.
can see what we're talking about. Um, Also, we're pretty excited about our first community event that we are going to lead. I guess you could call it a community event. Really, it's just participate from wherever you are, but as a community. So, Earth Day is Saturday, April the 22nd. Um, One thing that I've noticed locally, just here in our small community, are the littering on the sides of the roads
That's bad.
are crazy. People throw everything and anything out, and the sides of the roads are just trash. So, Corey and I and our kids are going to spend the day, April 22nd, picking up trash along Romulus Road. And if you guys would like to also join us and pick up trash from close to your house, just walk out to the end of your driveway, pick some up.
Yeah.
Let's make our community look a little better. Let's get some of this plastic and cans and recycle them and, do our part for Earth Day.
Apparently, there aren't enough inmates to pick it all up, so we're gonna have to step in and
Oh, Lord.
get Romulus Road cleaned up.
When's the last time you saw I don't know if I've
I've
seen
never seen them
inmates
down
doing
here. I don't
that.
know how often they. I don't know.
I haven't seen them
Or
doing
whose
that
job
since
that. Yeah.
COVID.
No. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It might not be a thing anymore, but
Jeez.
it's desperately needed. And
Yeah.
I think it would be, a good way for us to ease our way in and try to lead a
Hmm.
positive force here in Foster. So,
Yeah. Everyone's so worried about the dump at the food land. They should be also helping us pick up the streets, I think.
yeah, that would be
Yeah, that's probably a good idea.
awesome.
Instead of being mean to people, we should probably just go clean up the
But
roads.
please don't run over us because people be driving crazy on Romulus Road. But honk at us, and if you do join us, let us know so we can give you a shout out and shout us out too,
Yeah.
and let's make it a movement.
Yeah.
Let's clean the shit off the roads.
Because there's a lot of it.
Also, stop throwing it out there.
Yeah,
Thank you.
especially right by our house. People just like I think they try to hit our mailbox because it's just all around it right there. There's always stuff. I'm like, I don't use any of this stuff.
I've never been a litterer. Like that is something that bothers me so bad just
Hmm.
because it's like, okay, if everybody has that mindset, then, our ditches become landfills. So like I'll throw out banana peels and things that I know are like what is it? Compostable?
Hmm.
Compostable? Yeah. But anyway, I throw out stuff that I know will degrade or that birds or animals will eat,
Yeah.
but like I don't ever throw out plastic,
Let's face it.
paper.
There's probably a trash can wherever you're going. Just
Yeah.
wait.
Yeah, throw
Yeah.
it away at the
Why
gas
not?
station. And if that thing is full, then go to another stall. That's what I do.
Man.
Okay, so those are our two events coming up. We would be so excited to see you guys. So be on the lookout for that with our social media
Yeah.
pages. So, anything that you want to say?
No, just thanks everybody for watching. If you're
Yeah,
back, let's get into it. Like I said earlier, we thought we could wrap this up in a couple episodes and then just start talking freely about stuff, but it's going to take a lot longer for us to probably get through all this because we tend to ramble and we go off on stories and we have things that we like to laugh about. So it might take us a while to tell you everything about our story, but
that's
we're going
true.
to pick up right where we left off, which was us both moving back to Tuscaloosa
Mm-hmm.
around exactly the same time.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sorry if I kick you. I'm gonna adjust my
No.
leg a little bit. Um, So yeah, we talked last time. We ended up we had moved back home, myself from Auburn, Corey from Nashville. I had texted you to meet back up, and just catch up, see what you were doing. So what
Mhm.
were your thoughts like when you got that
The
message? What
first
were you
thought,
thinking?
my house is so dirty. Oh, what am I gonna do? Oh no, she's gonna think I'm a slob. So no, I can't see you today. I have something to do. But tomorrow,
I'm
you
working.
should come over
I'm working
tomorrow.
today.
I have
Tomorrow's
to
good.
spend 24 hours cleaning my house first because I can't make a bad impression
Man, it
after
was so
3 years.
clean too, though. I will say, when I got there, I was like, wow, it smells nice. And
Yeah, it never did before that.
feel like I remember you being like, yeah, it's because I've been cleaning for like all
Yeah,
day.
yeah. You almost couldn't tell that there was a person living on my couch for months and months and months. You couldn't tell. Shout out Bronson. What up?
Bronson. God, we had
Had
some of
some
the
good
best
times.
times. So anyway, we met back up and to your clean trailer, and I think it took, I mean, within a couple of days, we were back as
That
strong as ever
it was
before.
that day. Yeah, yeah. I think it was that night I called you. I was like, "Hey, can I see you again?" I know, like I think I just saw you a few hours ago, but can we hang out?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I remember, I was living back at home during this time, and I had mentioned last episode that it was hard being back home after
It's
being
tough.
living on your own and doing your own thing, and now you're back at home and you want to be respectful, but you also want to be independent,
Yeah.
but I was also broke. So
Well, and also it's hard. It's hard not to equate that with failure as a young adult, moving out and then coming back to your parents' house. Leaving the nest and coming back to the nest. That's not supposed to happen, right? So you're like, "Oh shit, what did I do? How am I going to fix this?" And
yeah,
then at the same time, we're like re-sparking this thing.
yeah. I think that I was also at a point in my life personally where I really just didn't know what I was going to do next.
Yeah.
I had gone to school for a year at Auburn, but then stopped going because I needed to work. I needed to work full time to afford to live. And, it just made more sense for me at the time to stop going to school, work. I had started in retail management with Victoria's Secret, and I
Oh
had
yeah,
done
that's
that for
right.
years, and really enjoyed it. And so that was, we were back in item, and I was like, well, what's next in my
Yeah,
life? Like, I don't know. It was kind of a state of limbo for me. And then I got the job at Plato's.
yeah,
Um, Gosh, what was it, like a couple weeks or a few weeks after we had started dating?
I think so.
I had a good friend. Hey, Ho, love you.
Shout out.
I'm pretty sure it was Hope. It may have been Kayla too, but they put in a good word for me with the
Yeah.
owners at Plato's because I'd moved back to town and I was like, hey, can you get me a good job, please? And so they talked to him and I started working there and really loved it.
Yeah,
It was a lot of fun. And
you really did.
you started working at
Yeah, I started
your
working at what my current job is now. Yeah, I took it on as a second job once we started dating again, because I kind of knew instantly that I was gonna have to step up and like make more and do more if I was gonna ever be able to afford a ring or do anything like that to make you my wife and make this happen. And this was only like a couple weeks after like we had met back up, but I already knew I was working that out in my head how I was gonna make it happen. So I was like, get a second job, work your ass off, just figure something out. And that was exactly where my head was at that
man,
time.
you're such a hard worker. You have
Thank you.
always
You don't have
kept
to say that. Thank
No,
you.
I mean it. I've always felt very blessed to have a man who will provide, and you have worked all kinds of jobs since I've known you. And I mean, because at that time you were, you know, waking up at what, 2 or 3 in the morning,
Yeah.
going and running the bread route until,
10:30.
10 or 10:30, and then going straight to nukes, right?
Yeah. At
And
11.
then you would go straight, well,
Oh, it's okay. Yeah. From 11 to about 3. Yeah.
yeah, you would go there and work, and then, yeah, you'd come back and you were
And
hardly
then come
getting
see
any
you.
sleep.
Yeah.
Like, I don't
No.
know how,
No.
I don't know how your body can run on like
I
2.5 hours for a week,
think I
but
just like trained it over the years to just like that's what we talked about last time. Once I wake up, I'm there. If once I'm awake, I like just spark on. I just like
yeah,
come alive. Here I
yeah.
am.
And
Let's
I'm
go.
like the power of
You're,
like,
you, you power on like a computer from the 60s, and I power on like one
in
from
the
today.
scenes of computers of the
Yeah,
60s.
they were the size of this room.
Oh yeah, okay. That makes sense. Um, but you're a hard worker, and I'm thankful that you've always been a great provider for us. And I mean, my goodness, you've been with that company for over a decade now,
Yeah,
and
for about 7 months longer than we've been married. That's
yeah,
about
and
yeah,
it's been really good to you. And I loved working at Plato's, and I worked there. I knew, a lot of people that worked there, and it was close to that time that you moved into your apartment at Essex Square.
yeah,
So like I could walk out back of Plato's where it was located at the time, and you could walk out your back porch and we could literally be like,
yeah.
"Hey," and see each
At like
other.
any point, yeah.
It was
And you could
crazy.
pop over for lunch or whatever, you know. It was
Yeah.
really cool.
Yeah,
If I was ever home for lunch, because I was working 12 hours at two jobs.
that's true. Or sleep.
Yeah,
Um, but eventually it got to a point because, I had background in retail management, and the owners of Plato's, they own I will say most of the Winmark franchises in Alabama. Once Upon a Child, um, Plato's, Style Encore, those are all Winmark companies. Anyway, so I got really into the company and they
you're
approached,
really good at it.
well, thank you.
Really good. That's why.
I enjoyed the sustainability aspect of what Plato's Closet is all about, but the business model definitely
It's just
came,
retail. If you've ever worked retail, you know it's awful. It's soul sucking.
but it's not because, everybody knows Plato's buys gently used, currently trending merchandise, okay? But that is
Like
a
you
very
still have the
hard.
vernacular from that. You were so in it. You just like it's so funny.
Where my Plato's girls at? I can say that speech a
Golly,
million times in
that's
a row
funny.
and never forget it. But people, I mean, it's hard for people to understand that it's not like we can buy just anything, like we can only buy items that we know will sell. But we had this group of people that would go to like flea markets, thrift
Yeah,
stores. They would literally come with dump trucks full of like garbage bags of clothes,
yeah.
from like literally 30 years ago, not in a cute vintage way.
And
It was just like
that's at the Tuscaloosa store
at
here.
all of, well, at
Oh,
all the Play-Dohs, there are people that like serial, I
well,
don't want to call them serial offenders, but they kind of
that's
are.
what I was gonna say because I know several stories you told me of like drug addicts bringing their clothes in trying to get them, and then you would like find drugs in the pocket, and they'd be like, "Oh shit, never mind," and swipe and just like go back out because like I don't need the money
No,
anymore. I
I
got what I needed.
I got so I'm talking about stuff you wouldn't believe, like used condoms, new condoms, crack pipes, crack cocaine, uh, used needles,
Oh my God, people!
maggots, feces, like I
Are you kidding?
bugs, like I could.
Why didn't I would have quit right then? Why? Oh my God, it's not worth that.
It was
People,
more like everybody would just come like
yeah.
discreetly and be like, Hannah, we cannot sort through these clothes.
Oh no.
And
Oh
I would look
God.
and be like, yeah, we had to unfortunately pass on your items today. Try laundering them, maybe bringing them back. You know, you don't want to hurt people's
Try launderings.
feelings because some people didn't know. And, you know,
How do
like
you
you
not
don't want to be
know?
like, you got doodle all
No,
over
you
your
know.
clothes.
No, you
But,
know.
um,
Oh man.
so anyway, I'd been doing that and the owners approached me and they were like, we have our store in Huntsville is going to need a manager soon because their son at the time was running it and he was moving to open another store in at the beach and they were like, you know, and I was like, well, I'd move up there and run it, and they were like, really? And I was like, yeah. And they were okay. So that became a thing, and I remember telling you that and the look in your face. I'll never forget it.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh
so
God.
you were very nervous about me moving.
Yeah, what do you think? Yeah.
But I was so
Whew.
excited because I
I know.
thought, this is it. This is what I'm supposed to do. This is the next step in my career, maybe. Maybe retail management is it for me. I seem to have a knack for it. I enjoy it.
Hmm.
You know, I love clothes, love the people I work with. I love the company. I think it's a great business model. You know, the owners were good to me for the most part. And,
Yeah.
you know, I just,
Well, I could tell how excited you were about it when you were telling me, and I was trying to hide my face as best I can, but it's impossible for me. If anybody who knows me knows it, I can't hide it. Like it's written all over my face how I feel like at all
that's
times.
so true.
I can't hide it at all.
That's so true. And I could tell you were excited for me, but there was just a tinge of, what does this
Shit.
mean? Like,
Not I'm gonna lose her again.
well, and
No
I,
way.
well, and I guess that's where you
Yeah.
were at. And in my mind, I was just thinking, okay, we'll just have a distance relationship and,
Mm,
you know, maybe he can eventually move up here. I think we even talked about it that same conversation, like, would
yeah.
you want to come with me? There's
Yeah.
one of the, you know, the place you work for, they have
Yeah.
a place in
A
Huntsville
couple of them.
that's right next door to Plato's Closet, literally in the
Yeah.
same shopping center.
Yeah.
Um,
And at this point, it's probably what time of the year? Probably
I
September, October.
moved
Oh, this is
before the
December.
holidays. I think it was right after
Yeah.
Thanksgiving-ish. It was the beginning of it was the winter time for sure. I think it was
Hmm.
right before Christmas because I got a little Christmas tree.
2011. Yeah.
Uh-huh, Christmas 2011. So
Hmm.
I moved.
You
And
sure did.
you,
I remember me and your dad getting that little shitty U-Haul and driving all your stuff up there.
yeah. And I was so broke. Like,
Yeah.
I remember going to the owners and being like, look, I'm so excited to do this and I've already got like everything lined up, but like I've got to have some kind of advance because I don't have the money to get a U-Haul and pay for all that
Hmm.
gas and, you know, pay my first and last month's rent and like all these things that they required to
Yeah.
move. So they did.
That was really cool of them.
They covered my moving expenses and off we went. But
Yeah.
before we went, I think it was maybe was it was a week or two before I officially moved.
It
You asked
was
me a question. We were
it
in your
was
blazer.
after you had already gone to look at apartments. You had found your apartment. You had gotten everything set up that you needed to go to Huntsville. It was happening. Like there
Hmm.
was no going back. And I was like, I had already been preparing mentally for like what 6 months, 5 months to like like this is gonna be my wife. Like she has all of the qualities that I was told to look for, that I've wanted to look for. Everything that's supposed to have happened that I think is supposed to happen has happened, right? And I feel these ways because she's around. So Like, and now she's leaving, and now she's moving to Huntsville for some stupid fucking reason. And I was
Dumb
like, and
career.
like I already know, I already knew that at some point in our relationship, I was gonna ask you to marry me. Um, and for some dumb reason, I brought it up in a conversation in the Blazer. I said, you know, I don't even know where we were, where we had been.
We were outside of Essex Square apartment. We pulled into your parking spot and we were sitting in the Blazer talking about something.
Okay. Yeah, see, like to me, everything else is just like blackout. It's just like it's just in the front seat because I asked you. I said, "What would you do? What would you do if right now I asked you to marry me?" And you said, "No, don't do that." You said, "Don't
I
ask me that."
waited. I feel like I waited and I said, you said, if I asked you to marry me, would you say yes? And I thought about it and I said, no.
Yeah.
And I said, don't ask
Oh
me
yeah.
that. I said, don't ask me that. And then you said,
I think I softened the blow in my head over the years. That is exactly what you said. Yeah.
yeah. And then you said, I feel like you said maybe why or why do you say that or something. And I just felt like it just wasn't the time. I don't know. I just felt like the time wasn't right. I felt like I was unsure, and I had this big move coming
Mm,
and, I'm moving to this new job and I just felt like I was overwhelmed with a lot and
yeah.
that I didn't want to throw that into the mix.
Yeah.
And I
Oh
was
yeah. You
scared.
were right.
I was a kid still
Yeah.
also. I was only 20?
Yeah.
Yeah, 20.
Mhm.
And so I was like, I don't know, I mean, marriage, my goodness, like we've only been dating for, you said 9 months last episode, but it was actually 6. And then he also was like, I even counted on my fingers. And the whole time in my head, I'm like, nope,
And you never called me on it. You just
nope.
let me say it.
To pee so bad. Wrap the last one up
And
and
I
I
just
have
kept
to wet
going
my
and going
pants.
and going. That was awesome. That's so funny.
But it planted a seed in my mind, you asking that for sure. I had never even considered it. I had just thought, this is my boyfriend. We're serious. I love this man. And it ended there. Like I hadn't really thought about the future or, I was more concerned about my job at the time. Um, but I moved and how long was it before?
You moved after Thanksgiving.
Yeah. And then when did you just tell me like I'm coming?
Like when did I propose?
No, it was before you proposed. You had already sort of started planning
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
move to Huntsville, right?
Yeah.
Like because you had
Oh
already
yeah.
talked to, because the owner of this
No.
restaurant
No,
owned the
that didn't
one.
happen until after I proposed.
Really?
Uh-huh.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I guess then we were just,
No,
I
you
was just living in
I was coming to
Huntsville.
visit you when I could.
Yeah.
Um,
Granted, I wasn't there
'Cause
for long
no. Well,
before you proposed.
yeah, because you moved in the beginning of December
hmm
and I proposed on January 14th of that year.
So January 14th,
Which but
2012.
you had thought before I ever asked you that question in the Blazer, the thought had crossed your mind that you might marry me. You knew already. Not that you would, but you had considered it because we've had conversations before where you had talked to friends of yours from Auburn and from here, where you mentioned me and you said, I'm with this man now, this happened before and I'm with Corey again and I think I might marry him. I remember those conversations,
Yeah.
which is part of I don't know.
I think you're right. Like I did have those conversations and those thoughts, but I just never thought it would be then. Like
No.
I thought I'm gonna marry this man in a few years.
In my head, exactly the same thing. I had no intent. This all was like I decided and it happened like 2 weeks later
Yeah,
or like a week later. Like I had the ring for a few days.
yeah.
I couldn't hold on to it. It was burning a hole in my jacket pocket, killing me. I showed 3 people other than my parents. And those 3 people, actually 5, including your parents, but those 5 people only saw it the day that you saw it before I drove to Huntsville,
Wow.
you know?
And you drove down to my
And
parents' house,
at
didn't
night.
you? The
Yeah.
day you drove to Huntsville?
Yeah. I came to your parents. I drove the opposite way first down here to see your parents to ask them if I could do it. Uh, I was gonna do it anyways, no matter what they said. But I figured that was the right thing to do was to
It was
go
respectful.
let Molly and Craig know first.
Yeah.
And they were so supportive of it. It sort of like hyped me up even more to like speed up to Huntsville and come see you real
Yeah.
quick.
And my mom is not a secret keeper. And
Mm-mm.
I will say, in my whole life, this was the best secret that
Yeah.
she ever kept because I had no idea I had worked that night. Um, and the apartment I had was only like a couple of miles from my job. So I'd come back home. It was around 10 o'clock, and I didn't know many people from Huntsville at that time. And so when I heard a knock on my apartment door, I was like, there's no way that anybody needs me right
At what,
now.
like 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night? It was late.
It was
Or it was
late.
later.
It was like 10. It was maybe even a little after 10, but I was on the phone with my mom and I was like, somebody is knocking on my door and I don't know who this could be. Like, this is weird. And it sort of freaked me out, you know? I was like, I mean,
Yeah, she knew I was coming straight from her house to your apartment to ask you
yeah.
to marry me.
So she knew this whole time. I had no idea. And then she was like, oh, well, that's weird. And she was playing it off really good at first. And I was like, I'm just not going to answer it. And then she sort of went, well, I mean, just look out the peephole and see, you know, who it is, because she knows that I need to answer the door, right? So I go look out the peephole, and all I can see is like some sort of note with writing on it, like flapping in front of the peephole. And I was like, oh, it's OV. I'm about to die. This serial killer just taped a freaking note to my peephole, and like,
It's
there
so
is
creepy.
no way I'm opening the door. Like, I'm gonna get some protection or something first.
I'm gonna call the police.
And then my mom was like, well, and I could tell there was something in her voice, and it got me thinking, like, what does she know, you know? And she was like, well, just open it, Hannah, and see who it is. Like, you know, it may be important. And I could, I could tell she was smiling as she said
Yeah.
that. And
Yeah,
so
you
I
can.
was like, let me just call you back. And so like, my heart started to beat fast because I think in the back of my mind, like, maybe I thought you were there for like a surprise visit because I didn't
Yeah.
expect to see you. I had
Yeah.
talked to you and you had played it off cool, like you had other stuff going on and whatever. Um, so then I opened the door and I'm trying not to get emotional. I opened the door and I pulled the note off of with the tacky black duct tape you had just like and like a shoestring or something it was attached to. But it was an index card
Mhm.
and I still have it, and it had some of the lyrics to a song that was, I consider it our song,
Yeah, it's
you
real
know,
special for us.
and it's really special. It's the song Island by the Starting Line. And whenever I read the words and I saw your handwriting on it, I was like, oh my God, what is happening? Um, and it was really cold. I remember it being really cold. And then I see you come around like through the breezeway, and you had on that trench coat and your little hat that you would
Scally cap.
always wear. What is it
The
called?
scally cap.
Scally cap, yeah.
I don't know what
And
it's really
I
called.
could tell you were just shaking,
Yeah, trembling.
trembling. And you walked up and you got down on one knee and like time stood still. Like I'm
Hmm.
shaking like right
Yeah.
now, just thinking about the excitement of that moment. And you asked me to marry you. And you said something like, make me the happiest man in the world or
Yeah.
something like that. I can't remember exactly what you said because I was so caught up in the emotion of the moment. And of course, I said yes.
I think it was something like it would make me happier than I could ever imagine
Yeah,
if you would marry me.
yeah. And I said yes. And
And I couldn't fucking believe it.
yeah, I couldn't either. Well,
I could.
in my head, I
I
was
thought this was just
thinking,
my like. This is it. It's either now or like she's gonna slip away from me. Like I I already know this is it. And I feel like she knows. Like she just knows because we're so connected already. We were so on the same level. Like we've had like telepathic powers since we met. We've known what each other was thinking and finished each other's sentences and just like said the same things at the same times for 11 years. So when I asked you what you would say if I asked you to marry me and you said no, that really threw me off because I was like, you already know. Like, what are you saying? And so I was like, well, I'm gonna ask her. So I'm gonna ask her. I'm gonna present it because I know. I just know, and it's either gonna be it or it's not. You know. It's
Yeah.
gonna be it or it's not.
And it was it.
And that was the scariest thing that I've ever done.
Well, and after, I'd gotten over the excitement, we'd gotten in my apartment, like I took a picture of my ring. That was one of the first things I did. I called my mom back. I was crying, she was crying. And I remember thinking that night, like, how brave of him to ask me, knowing that he had sort of already mentioned it and I had said, don't know, like that was so brave of you. Like you were so sure of that.
No one, no one that I've ever met has made me feel that way or feel as confident and as sure of anything.
Mhm.
Not just asking you to marry me, but like the decisions that we make from then on. From that point on, so from the time that we decided that
Yeah.
we're gonna be husband and wife. As sorry, I knocked that thing. I knocked that thing down 3 times already. I'm afraid I'm gonna knock her out.
I was like, please don't knock me out in the middle of this episode.
No, but yeah, yeah, I couldn't fucking believe you said it.
It was crazy and it was a magical night for sure. I
Yeah.
felt like it was really romantic the way you did it and it was just so us and
Mm.
man, and then yeah, I woke up the next morning an engaged woman and we started a very short process of all right, let's get this show on the road.
I think we discussed an actual wedding for a total of 5 minutes, 6 minutes. It took us that long to be like, we're not. Why would we spend that much money on anything? You know,
Baseball. Yeah.
Let's just go to the courthouse.
Yeah.
Let's just get it done.
Yeah. I've never been a super like materialistic or bougie person by any means. I'm very low maintenance and I big weddings are beautiful and I
Mhm.
get the hype behind having one, but I could not justify with us being young, broke, out on our own, like
So young, so
and
broke.
like I couldn't justify spending just
Mm-mm.
thousands and thousands and
We didn't have it.
thousands. Yeah,
We,
and
we
we
we didn't have it, and we honestly we're just the kind of people that we didn't feel right asking anybody for it
no, yeah. Like I
ever.
wasn't gonna ask my parents
No
like
way.
I mean, I'm just different from some people and maybe other people don't
I
have
don't
any
know.
problem asking for that, but like I'm not one that could just go to my parents and be
Mm-mm.
like, "So, me and Corey are engaged and we found a venue.
I
It's
need 20.
15,000 and then the dress I found is 2,500." And like that's
Mm-mm.
not me. I couldn't do that. I was like, "Look, I'm gonna go to Plato's.
Well,
I'm gonna find me a cute dress for $12." And I did.
I think the even the tie that I wore to the courthouse, I borrowed from Bronson. I've still got it in my closet. I never gave it back to him.
Ooh, we should give
Just
that
keeping
back
it.
to you, bro.
No, I'm keeping that thing. It's mine now. I got married in it. It's mine, B man.
He probably wants you to have it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Too bad I got it anyway.
But yeah, we went to the courthouse on Valentine's Day. We came back here to Tuscaloosa to do it so our
Hmm.
families could be there present anyway.
Yeah.
And us being who we are, we get there and they're like, okay, so we just need your ID, we need your social security cards. And Corey was like, who?
My what?
I haven't seen a social security card of mine in
Ever.
yeah, my whole life. And so I was like, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? And it just so happened that the place that provides them was right down the street, and we were able to go in and get you a temporary one.
But then we didn't have a judge. There was no judge to marry us.
Yes, and
All the
we
judges were, I don't know, in court or on vacation or something.
yeah, I guess because I don't know if it
Yeah.
was just the Valentine's
We
Day
had to
thing
have
or
a
what, but
family member like call up like a favor, like, hey, can you come to the courthouse and marry my nephew and his fiance?
yeah,
And they
and they
did.
did.
I could it just so awesome. Yeah,
It
it just
was so
worked out.
awesome, but such a classic Hannah and Corey marriage scenario.
Mm,
Like
yeah, I couldn't
most
see
of
it
the time
going
that
any
we
other
try to
way.
do anything, as small or as big, there's going to be at least three obstacles to get through before we can make it happen.
Yeah.
Either like somebody's sick, somebody's injured, something
Don't
breaks.
bother planning anything. No, if you think something's gonna end up a way, it won't. So like, just don't expect it. Just
Yeah.
just
We just,
if you have kids, it's just the way it is.
well, and just our who we are as people, for
I
whatever
think
reason,
so.
we've just got shit
Yeah, because
luck.
we didn't have kids then. That just happened. That's
Yeah,
just who
like,
we are.
yeah, like, no, we just weren't. I mean, we're not the type of
Yeah.
people to like, always get our tag during the month we're supposed to, or like, our cars run out of gas
Or notice
sometimes.
that there's
Like,
a state trooper sitting in the same spot he sits in all the time, and he'll get you 2 weeks in a row, both of us, at some point.
I can't handle y'all
Okay,
cops on Gainesville Road.
we're not
Like,
going back into the cop discussion on this episode. Yeah,
That's
we
true.
can't do that every episode.
I'm gonna skip past because people gonna think so bad of me,
No,
but it's
but
true.
we did the courthouse wedding. It was awesome. It was super special. I always felt a little guilty that you didn't get to have the whole wedding, that you didn't get to have your day where everybody looked to you and it was all about you. I mean, we did have our I think the following October we ended up having our little reception with our family because it was literally just boom, 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 boom. We're doing this. I'm gonna take my job to Huntsville. You're already in Huntsville. I'm gonna move all my stuff in. We're still broke. We're gonna combine our incomes and try not to be as broke. We still were somehow. I don't know. We've always been bad with money. We're just not good at it.
Yeah,
We've gotten better. We've gotten good in our as we. It took us a long time, but we
yeah.
figured it out.
Well,
Um,
those first few months being married, living together in Huntsville was probably my favorite place I've ever lived. It very
yeah.
much had a vibe like you're in Alabama, but you're not in Alabama. It
Yeah.
has a different feel. The city itself feels a lot different than anywhere in the South I've
Hmm.
been. And there's still a surging job market, lots of job
Oh yeah, I think
opportunities.
the city's only gotten much, much larger since we left.
Right.
Like, I think if we went back, we wouldn't recognize a lot of it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We had the best time
it
in
was
that
fun.
apartment,
Yeah,
and we had so many great first, memories. And I mean, we didn't have kids when we were first
yeah.
married. So,
Well, it's the little things, like our first, grocery trips to the Kroger, like going to the movies right over the hill,
yeah.
like working next door to each other, like our jobs shared a wall,
Hmm.
like next door, like we parked in the back, like next to each other.
Yeah.
Like it was just so perfect. It was awesome.
It was
We had so
fun.
much fun.
And I met some amazing people in Huntsville, some of
Yeah,
the best people I've ever met and that I'm still friends with to this day.
yeah.
And we all could get together and like just everybody meshed and we just had a huge friend group at that time and it
Mhm.
was a lot of
It
fun.
was, yeah.
And so I was still 20 and you would have been 22 that during the
Deuce,
first
deuce.
part of that year. Um, but we encountered a lot of hardship in Huntsville. I mean, I think the financial strain of just trying to mesh our incomes and stretch pennies to make
Yeah.
everything work, um, as well as just sort of learning more about each other and what makes us tick and the
And
quirky things we have that maybe we weren't super accustomed to.
mhm,
And
how to be together, how to live together, how to
yeah,
argue, because we, had our first real fights probably in Huntsville,
yeah,
you know, like whether they were significant or not, whether they were over something serious. It was the first times that we like really like saw those parts of each other. Um, but a lot of times you see that in young couples and it just like explodes and it overflows and fizzes over. But we just always were able to just put things aside and just love each other more than the argument or more than what was going on there. Even though we weren't doing it right and we weren't even arguing right and we weren't settling anything,
hmm
we were just so important to each other that it didn't matter.
hmm
Like this is a little thing, it'll be gone, but you'll still be here.
And there were so many arguments we had where it would have been easy for us to just be like, you know what? Forget this. This was all a mistake, but we've never had that
I
dynamic.
never even thought that in that first year,
Yeah.
not for a second.
Even during my maddest moments and my most upset moments, I still felt like we were doing the right
Yeah.
thing.
Well, because of our situation and what we put ourselves into there, it also brought up other things that we hadn't dealt with before, like, some insecurities with each other that we had never had to deal with because we weren't, together for that long before we did get married, and we were still young working next to each other. You worked around a bunch of young women. I worked in a restaurant that had, a bunch of scuzzballs in the kitchen and, also a bunch of young women. So of course you'd be worried about stuff, it causes insecurities and things to come up, things that we don't see in each other at first, and then they come up and then you handle them. Um, but that caused some issues for us starting out.
Yeah, I did have a lot of insecurities in Huntsville with our relationship, mainly because I think I was still so young and so immature. Um, I just felt like insecure in myself a lot.
Yeah.
And because of that, it made me feel like I couldn't trust
And you
the.
had self-esteem issues already that you had from childhood.
Hmm.
That at that time I didn't know the full extent of course, because we were still young. We hadn't discussed all that in as much depth as we have by now, obviously.
Yeah. And at that time too, with my mental health, I had totally, that was about the second year that I had totally just sort of ignored my mental health and just pushed it all aside. And it was easier to do that because I could just, party, hang out,
Hmm.
have a good time. And it was easy to
Yeah.
not address and deal
Oh
with
yeah.
what was going on in
Dude,
my
yeah,
head.
alcohol makes that really easy. If you just forget about everything.
Yeah.
It's awesome. I'm just kidding.
I've
That's a
never
joke.
been a big drinker. I mean, I like to drink socially every now and then, but like alcohol makes me so sick. Like it's not even worth it to me. It's always made me puke. I'm that girl in the bushes that's like, "Bleh, I'm fine." And I don't know. I've never been a big drinker, but it was easier to, sort of mask some of what was going on that I don't even know that I knew the full extent of at the
No.
time, because I'd gotten so good at just burying it and not dealing with it. But
Yeah.
so months went by, and it was a September day. I was at work, and I remembered that I should have already started my period. And I was like, "Oh, I'm not pregnant." Like,
I, I think I was at work too.
yeah,
Wasn't I?
we
Yeah.
were both at work, and I got to talking to some of my friends at Plato's about it, and I was like, "But I'm not pregnant." Like, and they were like, "Dude, you probably are." And I was like, "No, I'm not." And they were like, "Go down to Publix." We were in a public shopping center. They were like, "Go get a test at Publix." And so I went and got a test. I came back and I went into the back room, and I just remember sitting in the bathroom and like this was the first pregnancy test I'd taken
Ever.
ever. Ever. I'm trying to think if I took one when I was in Auburn, but I never did. It was just,
Uh-uh.
yeah. And so, making sure I'm like peeing on the stick right and everything. And then I let it sit on the counter and
Sorry.
like I immediately just started to like sweat while I was
Yeah.
waiting. And I was like, this is going to be bad. If I'm pregnant, like I'm not ready for this. There's no way I can be a mom. Like
Mm-mm.
I'm, 20, I just turned 21 in June. I was like, I'm 21 years old. I'm just finally legally able to drink and like go out with
Yeah.
people, and I'm not about to be pregnant. Well, the test said pregnant. And I was like, I just remember like I screamed a bunch of profanities. I was in the back room of the store, so like I didn't think anybody could hear me, but I was just like, oh gosh, like I freaked out. Um, I walked out of the bathroom in the back room of Plato's, and there was like a couple of customers waiting to use the bathroom, and
Oh
they were just like
no.
looking at me like,
Oh
do we
no.
want to go in
Dude, I
there?
want to hear their story. I want to know what they heard. Oh.
It was just probably silence and then a bunch of
Beep 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 beep
beep,
beep.
boop,
Bunch of
boop,
dolphin
boop, boop.
noises.
Yeah, pretty much. And my friend Trisha was back there, and I told her, I was like, I'm pregnant. And she was like, what? Oh my
That's such a
God.
Patricia
Man, I
impression.
love you. Trisha Shelby. I love you, Trisha, man. I miss you too.
Oh
Um,
man.
but she was so there for me too during that time and
Oh
like
yeah.
made me feel so at ease. So I will forever
Yeah,
be
she was really
thankful
cool
for
when we were in
you
Huntsville.
during that hour of panic. But I called you, you came outside Nuke's out back. I came out of
Like this.
Plato's, and we were like chain smoking cigarettes, like, what are we gonna
Yeah,
do?
what the fuck are we gonna do?
Straight up. I mean, I
Yeah.
did. I was just I mean,
It
we
was
were
like
both.
it was like if you're gonna smoke, now's the time. It's gonna be the last day you can smoke. So let's go.
Oh, so I was like, I'm gonna have to stop smoking, like, no more drinking. Like, I mean, our whole dynamic of our life is about
Yeah.
to be changed.
We've
Like,
been
we're not
married
ready for
for a few
this.
months.
Yeah, I was like, we are not ready for this. I'm not ready for this. I cannot do this right
Yeah.
now. And we just sort of let it simmer all day. And as the day went on, I got more and more hopeful about it. I felt better and better about it.
Mhm.
I called my brother and I told Carson, and I wanted him to be one of the first people to know. I think I called a couple of my friends and told them, but mostly it was just a few people
Yeah.
knew. And then I went to bed with a smile on my face,
Yeah.
and
I
I woke
remember.
up the next morning and was miscarrying. And
Just like that.
yeah, like I can't have been far along at all. I probably would have never even known I was pregnant had I not have taken that
Hmm.
test, But I felt so terrible when that happened, and I super underplayed it at the time, but I think it was just sort of feeding into this little voice that I had in the back of my head that had been telling me for so long, like, you're not enough. You can't do this.
It's okay. I understand. You know, you definitely did downplay that at the time because I didn't see that come through. I had seen you get really excited because like I was so scared when I came outside the restaurant and you were freaking out and we smoked like a pack of cigarettes together
Yeah,
and I just like you said, as the night went on, like the more that we talked, the more excited you got, and then I got excited because like that's all I had ever wanted. I wasn't ready yet, and I didn't want that yet. But seeing you get excited about it, I'd never seen you in that light before because we had never really discussed kids. I mean, we knew we
right.
wanted them at some point, but we knew that was so far off. We're just trying to enjoy being young and
Yeah,
married right now. And I went to bed the same way, like holy shit, like this is gonna happen.
yeah,
Um, and then when you did miscarry and you told me, I don't I don't even know if I handled it in the best way or in the right way. I was just trying to be there for you because I'd never been through that with anybody either. Um, I feel like I should have seen how it affected you. Again, at that time in our relationship, we hadn't gone deep into trauma with each other, what we'd gone through
hmm
and how we were really feeling on the inside. So I didn't know any of that was what you were feeling.
yeah. I hit it pretty well because I felt really guilty, like there was something that I had done wrong.
Mm,
And this little voice telling me like of course you miscarried. Like you smoke a pack of cigarettes a day and
mm,
you're a party girl and whatever, like you're not
yeah,
equipped to be a mother. And I don't know why it bothered me so much that I felt that way about myself. I think it was because I've always loved kids and I've always been really good with
yeah,
kids. And
yeah.
I mean, if you know me, you know that I
Y-
love your kids probably more than I
She
love you.
sits at the kids' table at family events. She goes and sits with the kids and eat. I'm like, come over here
Yeah.
with us. We're grown.
I love kids. I always have. And so I just felt like I could be a good
Yeah,
mom, but I wasn't sure. And, but from that moment on, I was like, you know what? It is what it is. There's nothing I can do about it, but I'm not going to necessarily prevent or purposefully cause or prevent pregnancy, I guess. Like, I'm not gonna prevent it from happening, but I'm not gonna try to get
yeah.
pregnant. Like, I'm
If it
just,
happens,
if
you're
it
okay with
happens,
it.
it happens, and we'll see what happens. And a couple months went by,
A couple.
um, and I got really sick with pneumonia, and I had went to like a doc in the box. It was like the first week of December 2012.
Hmm.
And I was like really sick, and the doctor came in and she was like, "Okay, well, is there any chance you could be pregnant?" And I was like, "Probably not." I mean, I was had no symptoms.
None. You're just sick as a dog.
Yeah, I was just had been sick for a few days, and so I hadn't even thought about anything
Mm.
except for that. And she's like, "We'll do one just to be sure." And she came back like 10 minutes later and was like, "Girlfriend, you are pregnant." And I was like, "What? What? Are you serious?" And she was like, "Yeah." And so, um, I called you, I think, like,
Yeah,
immediately
I was
when
at
she
work.
left the room, and I was like, "So, I'm pregnant again." And I had a from the jump, from the moment those words came out of her mouth, the inflection she used, the way she phrased it, I felt good
Yeah,
about that pregnancy. I felt like the baby was strong, even at,
and
4 days old or
it's true.
4 days conceived or whatever it was. I can't have been but like a week along. So I didn't feel nearly as much panic that time. because I'd gotten that out of the way. And so I was just really excited, and I started making phone calls. And
Immediately.
I
Which
we
you're not
ca-
supposed to do.
I know, but I just felt
Yeah.
like I've never been one that could
Yeah.
wait or anything like
No, we
that.
have.
So we started making phone calls. I called my parents, you called your parents, and um, we were just over the moon and planning. Like, we started doing a lot of talking about moving back home and if that would be an option because at the time, but it was a crazy day, and we started talking about moving home. We knew that that was probably going to be a thing because your mom had a daycare that she had just opened, and we felt really good about, we wanted to bring up our children with family, and we knew
Yeah.
that in Huntsville, with the money we were making and how we had just been scraping to get by, like we
Mm,
were not going to be able to do it
no way.
there.
Yeah, we won't be able to afford childcare at all.
No. So we started making arrangements to move back home. And
Yeah.
I think that is where we will leave you for this episode.
Yeah, we'll end the story there. That's a good point to end on.
Yeah.
Getting pregnant with the firstborn little
And
saw dog.
spoiler alert, this is Sawyer that's in my
Yeah, so
belly
he
right
is
now.
strong. He's still strong.
Strong
Thick.
as an ox. That child has always been in the 99th percentile,
Gosh,
height,
yeah, of
weight,
everything.
smarts, everything.
Hmm.
Oh man, we could go on for hours about our
Yeah.
kids because we love our kids so
And
much.
about also with them, we're discussing letting them have their own little 10-minute episode once a month, letting them get on here and talk for 10 minutes. We'll throw that up on YouTube or something.
Ship to
Think
shore
that'll be pretty
with
cool.
Saw and Ship.
Yeah.
They're so excited
Yeah, that would
about
be
it,
awesome.
and they've been so excited about us doing this and watching us do it, and like they're even starting to learn the lingo, and
Yeah.
like they've started mentioning stuff like you should put this on your podcast, and that Shepherd, if you don't know Shepherd's voice, but Mom, you should definitely literally put this on your
That's
podcast.
so good. I hope his voice never changes. It's so
I
cute.
know, I love
It's
it
the
so
best.
much. But thank you guys for listening. Sorry I got
Seriously.
a little emotional, but
No,
I
it's
can
okay.
promise you that that's gonna happen for
It's
me,
coming, yeah. We're gonna
especially
get,
during this story because I mean it's the most intimate story of
yeah.
my life.
It's so important
So,
to me, and
yeah,
you're so special to me. I'm doing this is so I'm having so much fun doing this. I don't care if nobody watches it, if anybody listens. This is so cool. I think we'll do this forever,
for
like
sure.
into our old age. We're gonna be at the retirement home with the little fucking laptop and mics talking to each other.
I think so too.
Yeah,
I think I could see myself doing this forever with
it's
you just
fun.
because it's so much fun and it's so, I don't know, it's like therapy in
It
a
is. I
way.
think it's good. Like we've come so far in our relationship, and we've grown so much, and just gotten to this place, and this is only helping. Like
Yeah.
like we're already communicating so much better than we ever were, and this is it's not like it's forcing us to, but it makes it so easy for us to just like get into this stuff that we've already talked about, but it makes me want to sort of peel back the layers and kind
Yeah.
of see what's going on, because like I never knew how you truly felt when
Mhm.
you miscarried, in 2011.
Mhm.
I never knew that at all,
Yeah.
so I think that we're going to learn some more things about each other as they're learning things about us too.
I hope so.
I hope so too.
But we love you guys. Thank you again for all the support. And don't forget our yard sale, April 15th. We'll remind
Yeah.
you again next week. And then, of course, trash pickup for Earth Day. Don't forget that. And yeah, we'll see you episode 4 next
So
Friday.
forward. Peace out.
Bye.